Today, we want to welcome you to the Immigration and Community Know Your Rights webinar for this week. The topic is who to call. Before I start, my name is Beatriz Valencia. I'm the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs Liaison for the City of Albuquerque. We have some housekeeping that I want to introduce you. Before we get started, please be respectful and kind through the presentation. Feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box at any time. You will have an opportunity for your question to appear as anonymous by clicking the three dots, which will bring up options. We will address all the questions during the dedicated Q&A session at the end. The chat function has been disabled to allow our team to focus on the questions in one place. Following this presentation, this webinar will be translated and will be made available to those who feel comfortable reading this in their chosen language. We have Reed to help us with respond questions in Spanish. And to access Zoom interpretation, please click the three dots icon in the bottom on your screen. Then to select interpretation, we have Spanish interpreters here available. To choose Spanish as your desired language channel. Interpreters will be broadcasting their translated audio on separate channels. Antes de comenzar, tenemos que mencionar los protocolos a seguir. Por favor, sea respetuoso y amable durante toda la presentación. Siéntase libre de escribir sus preguntas en el cuadro de preguntas y respuestas en cualquier momento. Tendrá la oportunidad de que su pregunta aparezca como anónima haciendo clic en los tres puntos que mostrarán opciones. Se responderán todas las preguntas durante la sesión dedicada a preguntas y respuestas al final de la sesión. Muchas gracias. Y ahora vamos a presentar la introducción de la directora, Now we're going to introduce Director Sonia Lara from the Office of Equity and Inclusion.
Thank you for joining us for today's important conversation on immigration. As Beatriz mentioned, I'm Sonia Lara, and I have the great privilege of serving as the Director of the Office of Equity and Inclusion for the City of Albuquerque. So on behalf of our city, I want to take a moment to recognize the 19 pueblos, the 4 nations, as stewards of this land before statehood. I also acknowledge the 12 million enslaved Africans who were violently taken from their lands to endure forced labor. You know, it's with these acknowledgements that I feel so honored to hold this space with you tonight. We're aware and united in our shared struggle towards equity, towards inclusion for all people in the city that we love. And as we know, our city is a place of resilience, of opportunity, and belonging. These are values that guide our team's work at the Office of Equity and Inclusion throughout the city of Albuquerque and our work that we do daily. We want to support immigrants and refugees, really anyone who calls Albuquerque home. So in tonight's webinar, we're here to share with you vital resources. We want to answer your questions. We want to really just ensure that each of you leaves this webinar feeling informed and confident in the knowledge that is shared. And to that end, it's my honor to introduce someone who is deeply committed to this work, the courageous leader who established the City of Albuquerque's Office of Equity and Inclusion. Please join me in welcoming our mayor, Tim Keller.
Hi, folks. Just give me a second here. I think what I need is a nice thumbs up if folks can hear me. All right, great. And you know how Zoom is. Just stand by a second here. Let me work on my video. All right. Hi, everyone. Okay. So first, I want to begin by, of course, thanking everyone who's participating, number one, for how much you care about this issue and how much you care about our city and everyone who lives in Albuquerque. Secondly, I also just want to acknowledge our team that has helped put this together. Thank you so much for everyone who's worked on this. And let me begin by taking us back just a little bit. You know, when we came into office, one of the things I wanted to do was create a safe innovative and inclusive city. And that was, to some people, a campaign tagline. But to me and everyone on our team, it was a commitment and a mission statement. And part of that was creating the Office of Equity and Inclusion and making sure that under that umbrella, we had the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs. And of course, they're the primary leader in the city's work on this. And you've already heard from some of the folks who head these departments, but I just want to thank them because this is actually the second time around, of course, when we've had to deal with this president. And that also is a good reminder that this isn't our first rodeo through this, but unfortunately, because of the sort of comeback and the speed and ferocity with which I think the federal government is actually going after, unfortunately, our immigrant community is much faster this time around. So there's a mix of what we're going to share with you that is some which we've been prepared for and been through previously, and also a lot of new information about specifically what's happening today in America and in Albuquerque. Now, another piece that we want to touch on is, I think, first and foremost, the basis for our immigrant-friendly policy and what that's all about. And let me begin, I think, first with just me personally. For myself, the journey for making sure that we stand up for everyone in our community, for me, in many ways, actually began now sounds hard to believe, but more than 15 years ago as a state senator for the International District. And back then, we were fighting over this notion of whether or not immigrants should have driver's licenses. Fortunately, we allow that for all sorts of good reasons. But that effort was one where a lot of advocates in the community, even folks you're going to hear from today, who've been working on this for essentially their entire adult life, some of them, and they've consistently stood up for our immigrant communities and for the notion that we're all in this together, regardless of where we come from and also how long we've been here. And so for me, learning what I did in that process also meant that part of coming into Albuquerque, even before this was a direct issue, was to say that we should be an immigrant-friendly city. And that started by executive order and by administrative procedure when I came in. But we actually codified it with city council. So it's also the law in Albuquerque. And I think that's also very important to remember. So let's talk about what that actually is, what that means for our city. And then I'll talk about sort of why fundamentally it's in place. But first, just what it is. It's actually a very simple rule, and it's different than in some other cities. All we say in Albuquerque is that any city employee cannot check the status, the immigration status of anyone at any time for any reason. And so that's actually really basically what the policy is and what the law is. Now, this means two things when it plays out. It means that if obvious examples like a firefighter coming to put out a fire in your house, they're not going to check your status. Now, of course, we might think it's ridiculous that they would in the first place, but the point is they can't no matter what. And so that also means if you're going to a community center or a library and you want to check out a book, no one is checking your immigration status. So you get the idea. It's actually a very blanket policy. It, of course, applies to APD. So it also means our police officers should never be checking anyone's immigration status. Now, what that also means, and this is very important for what the federal administration under President Trump is trying to do, it also means we have no data. So part of what they're trying to do in other cities is access these, who's documented and who's not. And that's also why they're saying, cities have to work with us. Well, whether we wanted to or not, we have nothing to give them. We have nothing to share. And so that's actually really powerful in many ways because it doesn't even matter whether they threaten us with funding. Like, let's just say, we had a different moral approach and a different law. We don't have any data anyway to share with them. So anyway, I think you can see how this sort of plays out where for us, it's a two-part way of ensuring that we're standing up for all our families, including our immigrant families. And it basically is, number one, we don't ask or check status and we don't track status. And that also means no one can hold it above us that we're not sharing some sort of information because we just don't have it. So that's how policy works. Now, I want to remind folks, I think, fundamentally why we have that policy. And that basis is also really straightforward. It boils down to two fundamental issues. And the first is trust. And the issue is that we need in our community to be safe. We have to be able to trust our police officers. Now, I understand that in the history of policing and in the history of even our department with respect to reform and look, even the DWI situation, I understand those impact trust, but I want to talk about trust with respect to being a fear of deportation. That's what this is about, right? We need people in any community and in any family, in any house to be able to call 911 and get the help they need, whether it's from a EMT because someone's having a heart attack, or it's because there's a domestic violence situation and they need APD to come save them. We want to make sure that they have trust in that they can do that, and we can be the heroes that our community members want us to be. And there's no fear of deportation, because obviously if people are afraid, right, there's a debate whether or not you should call and, you know, how this plays out and who needs to be in the household, and that can literally cost lives. So that is fundamentally what this is about, is maintaining trust in city services, and that includes police and fire. Now, this also means trust in catching criminals, and I want to be clear about this. I articulated our policy, and what you may have been able to also realize is that if you were doing a criminal activity, we will arrest you. It doesn't matter whether you're documented or not. So in that domestic violence example, it doesn't matter whether you're documented or not. We are not spending time checking. We are arresting the perpetrator and taking them to jail. We will do that regardless of your status. And so that is also the case. That is why this is so important, literally, for keeping us safe. It's because it maintains that trust, but it also enables our police department to keep us safe, no matter what the situation is with respect to documentation. Now, second reason is really about our families and the city's responsibility to support families. And this is where you see these horrific situations, which are very real now, unfortunately, where you can have a family going to church and someone is deported in that family coming out of church services. And so the family is going home, children who are most likely here with the appropriate documentation or citizens already, and all of a sudden their parents are gone. You could see that with school, where parents are waiting, kids are waiting to be picked up, and their parents could have been, or a parent could have been deported, literally waiting to pick them up in the parking lot. This is something that is never helpful for a family or for a community that then has to help those families, whether it's issues around raising those children, whether it's around social services, whether it's a path for those children that could lead to crime because they don't have all the family unit intact. Or it's the fact that we recognize in New Mexico and in Albuquerque, we have traditionally multi-generational families. So there are all sorts of situations where we have a cousin or an uncle or an aunt or an abuela who is taking care of children. And we're not here to question their role in parenting their children here, and the fact that they need to be here to do that. So it's about keeping families together. We are always better off with our families together. Now, there's an obvious exception, which is if a family member is literally involved in criminal activity, that's different. They will be arrested because they're doing criminal activity, not because of their documentation or status. That's the difference. So that's why we have an immigrant-friendly policy. It is to make sure that we keep our families safe and together and give our children the best chance to grow up in our city. And it's also to maintain trust and public safety in Albuquerque. So with that, what we're going to do for the rest of this program this evening is also really focus on the details. So I'm just going to tee them up and then hand it over to the experts. But we want to make sure that folks, number one, know their rights in the city of Albuquerque, and also have a place to call or work with, or individuals who can assist them in certain situations when they may be in dire need of assistance. And so that's what we're going to go through today. Our city is handing out their little red cards with all this information throughout our community centers and our libraries and throughout our partners. I also want to acknowledge that we're fortunate, again, to have been doing the work of just supporting immigrants and refugees in general now for 7+ years with a lot of great partners, whether it's Catholic Charities or El Centro or Encuentro or Olay, all sorts of different groups who are helpful in this way each and every day. And so we support them and they support those individuals. And that's also similar, basically, in a sense of if there is a situation where folks are concerned and they're worried about deportation. We want to make sure that you have a place where you can call or folks you can reach out to get connected to things like the Immigrant Law Center to make sure that rights are being followed. And so that's what our Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs and our partners is going to map out for the rest of this program this evening. So thank you so much for joining us, and stay safe. And we believe in one Albuquerque, we're all stronger together, and that literally includes all of us.
Thank you, Mayor, for your words. We really believe that what you are mentioning, it makes a huge difference in the community. So first of all, I want to go back to the part of a disclaimer. Angelica, can you please put the slide? Okay, while that appears, I want to talk about why it is important, this topic of today, or who to call. So we have a special guests from 911, from 311, and 211. The community has expressed like concern in the sense of, not necessarily concern, confusion about where to refer questions regarding immigration, and when to differentiate something that could be an emergency for something that is just trying to find information. So it's important that for general knowledge as well, for anyone who will be interested, not only for the immigrant community, learning about the different phone lines that are available in the city and in this and by United Way through the 211. So please come. Let's go to this slide for the following one, please. Yes, disclaimer. This presentation is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. For specific legal concerns or questions, please consult with a qualified attorney or legal professional to ensure compliance with current laws and regulations. The City of Albuquerque and its partners are not responsible for any action taken based on the information of this presentation. Thank you so much. So now I want to tell you about the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, the liaison for this office, and why this is important. This office has more or less like 10 years of existence. It was created based on what the community wanted to have. The mission is, the office is to improve the lives of the immigrant and resettled refugees who are living in Albuquerque. We have about 10% of the population that is very diverse in the city of Albuquerque, that comprehends the immigrant and refugee population. Like you see some of the examples, that is one of the naturalization ceremonies that happened during World Refugee Day, and we have some performers from the Ukrainian community. So we really embrace the diversity that our communities have and the value that they bring to our city. So among the things that the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs have done, we have addressed things with workforce, with economic development, housing, education, different policies for language access, anti-Asian, anti-hate, and immigrant-friendly city. And we do that not alone, but collaboration with many other city departments. And this office is inside the Office of Equity and Inclusion. So we have collaboration of other population offices that we work together for making an impact in the community, and also with many partners, many organizations and agencies that allow us to bring a lot of resources and information to the community. So after mentioning this part of the Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, I want to invite our special guest, the first one for today, that is gonna be Ms. Jessica Solis. She works in Albuquerque Police Department as the 911 manager. So please welcome Ms. Jessica Solis.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. As she said, Jessica Solis. A little bit about myself. I have been with the department, the 911 Center, for 26 years now in various different roles. I've lived here my entire life, and my current position is interim manager. We were just going to go over a few things. I know there's a little bit of confusion regarding when to contact our 911 line as opposed to our non-emergency. So our 911 line is for when you're in immediate danger, or there is a crime in progress, or if medical assistance is needed, that's when you would dial 911. Other things would be car accident with injuries so that we can get police there quickly, and then of course medical personnel as well. Another example would be weapons, any type of crime that's in progress where there's a weapon involved. That's something that we definitely want you to call 911 so we can get police out there. With our non-emergency, which is 242 cops, that's going to be reporting a delayed crime. So an auto burglary that was just discovered that potentially occurred in the evening while you were asleep, you woke up and you found it the next morning. Damage to your property, but you're not watching it actually happen. It's something that was delayed. That would be our non-emergency. We also house our telephone reporting unit here in our division as well. And telephone reporting is our unit that handles over the phone police reports that meet certain criteria. It has to be something where there's not an offender, delayed crimes as well. And we also handle the online reports. So anything that meets that criteria that's delayed, you would submit your online report, and the telephone reporting unit would be the one responsible to complete that so that you can get a copy. That's the basic for 911, our 911 center. We do also dispatch for our Albuquerque community safety. They are not in our division, but we have the contact over the radio with them and dispatch them to different calls, people that need shelter, mental health issues where there's not a danger or threat to anybody. So we have their triage specialists in-house also, and we dispatch for them. And I think that's.
So thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Now our next speaker is Ms. Carrie Protero from 311. Please, Ms. Carrie, come and tell us more about your division. Ms. Carrie?
Sorry about that. I have you all on mute. My name is Carrie Prothero. I am the division manager with the 311 Community Contact Center. It is a pleasure to be with you all here today. I have been with the city for the last 8 years, all with 311, and I am a native to Albuquerque. And I've been here for many years that I don't care to share with you today. But let me tell you a little bit about what we do at 311. So we provide the community with really easy access to get information about all things that the city has to offer and answer any of your questions that you might have about where to go to get some assistance. So 311 is just as simple as dialing 311 while you are within the Albuquerque city limits. If you are outside of Albuquerque, let's say you're in Rio Rancho or you're down in Los Lunas and you want to reach one of us to ask a question, you can dial 505-768-2000 and you'll be connected with one of our agents just the same as if you would dial 311. We are all things that are non-emergency related questions for the city of Albuquerque. And we have lots of different ways that you can reach out to us. You can call us, of course. Our hours are listed here. We're open Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And Sundays, we're open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or if you prefer, you can report issues online. It's very convenient if you go to the city's website at www.cabq.gov and you'll see how can I help. Up on the top there's a little link and you can go ahead and be directed to report issues online. We also have a phone or an app that you can use, ABQ 311. So if you're out and about in the public and you have your cell phone with you, you can report things or ask questions of us. And then we also have the availability to use your Alexa enabled device to ask us questions. So there's lots of different ways that you can get in touch with us for non-emergencies. So we take all types of questions. If you want to go to the next slide. These are the top reasons people contact us regarding the issues in January 2025. Our number one call that we received was regarding solid waste. A lot of times folks want to know when their solid waste will be picked up, or maybe it got missed, or maybe they have a large item that they want to get rid of and they want to contact the city and get assistance with getting rid of their old refrigerator. Our next most popular call are regarding our transit system, and that's our city bus. Folks call and want to know what time the bus is going to arrive or how to get from one end of town to the other. We can help you with that. Then, of course, animal welfare are very popular calls. That's all things that has to do with maybe you found a dog, maybe you lost a dog, maybe you want to adopt a dog. So any animal welfare related questions. And then you can see the other top call drivers that are there that come into our center. So in particular for our immigrant community, if you have questions about where you can get resources or receive assistance, you can certainly call us and we will direct you to those resources. Oftentimes we can transfer you directly to those particular departments or give you the information that you need over the telephone. And I think I have one more slide, maybe. Thank you. So this is just a quick snapshot of our City of Albuquerque's website. It's extremely useful. It is also translatable. So if you just go to www.cabq.gov, you'll get access to all of the information that you would if you were to call 311 and talk to one of my agents. So we use this tool and it is available to the public and it is exceptionally useful. So there's lots of ways you can reach out to us about anything that is not an emergency that you have questions about, or maybe you need assistance with. We're here for you, but here's the city's website that you all can access as well. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carey. We really appreciate that you came and did this presentation for the community. And now we are going to invite Kelly Gallardo from the United Way 211 phone line. She's the manager of this division at this organization. Please welcome Ms. Kelly.
My name is Kelly Gallardo, and I am the 211 Helpline Manager. And the 211 is actually a program of the United Way of North Central New Mexico. A little bit about me. I have actually been with the United Way for a little over a year, but before that, I was at CNM for a little over 13 years, working in various departments at the local community college. Also, just sharing the fact that I'm also a second generation Mexican American or Chicana. And so this particular topic does hit a little close to home. And so I'm very grateful to be here and to share information on how our 211 can help our community. Next slide, please. So a lot of people don't really know what the 211 is. And so basically the 211 is an information and referral service. It is completely free. It is confidential. So when individuals do call the 211, they will be asked to give a little bit of demographic information, but all of that information is kept private. We do collect and share some statistical information, but none of the callers' personal identifying information is ever shared. And so right here on this slide, you can see like when the 211 was founded. It's been around for almost a little over 40 years in general, but the 211 here at the United Way of North Central New Mexico has been around for over 20 years. 211 is a national information line. It is available all throughout the US and in parts of Canada and Puerto Rico. So it is a very vast service, but our 211 from the United Way of North Central New Mexico is responsible for handling calls for 9 counties within the state. If you could please go to the next slide. This map details how the 211 service area is divided across our state. You can see ours is the blue. Again, we do have one of the largest regions for the state of New Mexico. And in particular for this specific presentation, we do handle the calls that come in through the Albuquerque area. We handle Bernalillo, Sandoval, Valencia, which is kind of like our metro area, right? And so individuals can just open up their phone, pick up a phone, call 211, or they can dial the 10-digit number, which is 505-245-1735 to get directed to one of our navigators. Again, they will ask a few questions, but everything that is shared is kept confidential. We do have at this time 4 full-time community navigators that staff the phone lines. Our phone lines are open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. 2 of the navigators are fully bilingual in English and in Spanish, but for individuals who call and maybe speak a different language, we do utilize a language interpreter service that assists individuals in over 200 other languages. Next slide, please. And so some of our calls, the majority of our calls that come in from individuals in the community, some of the top needs are usually rental assistance, eviction prevention services, utility assistance, and with utility assistance, typically it's with help finding establishment. So like if someone needs help in establishing connections, so we can connect them to agencies that might have a pot of money available to help them set up services, or if they are behind, so if they're in arrears, then they can potentially help them get caught up. The other big need that we have is for food insecurity, and so individuals usually will call for help finding food banks or any kind of other ways to help find food. This slide specifically goes over some of our statistics, and so for the year of 2024, our community navigators handled over 19,000 calls, and from those 19,000 calls, they provided over 21,000 referrals to individuals. And the reason that the numbers are a little uneven is because when callers do call, typically we try and give them more than just referral. More than one referral. So when an individual calls, we try and give them anywhere from 2 to 3 referrals, so that way if one agency is run out of or exhausted their funds, then they can go on to another one to try and seek out help. Can you please go to the next slide? And this is just some photos and names of some of our community navigators. Again, like we do try to have proactive communication with our callers. So I know at times it can be a little uncomfortable when we're kind of prying for information, but it's just so that that way our navigators can try and find the best list of resources to provide the caller. But again, none of the personal information is ever shared. And then can you please go to the next slide? And then this final slide does have, to recap, our website. So individuals can visit our website, which is www.uwnm.org/211. We do have on there a public facing directory. However, I usually still recommend that individuals do call the line directly because our public facing directory isn't the full list of resources. And just so that way, it can just be a little bit of a smoother interaction for the individual. My information is also on this slide, so if maybe an agency or someone who represents an agency is watching and they're looking to get on our resource list, they can reach out to me and I can get them added to our resource directory. And I believe that's the last slide. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Kelly, for your presentation. They put one question in the chat, and I think Ms. Carrie for 311 answered, but I don't know if that probably could be something that the other lines have some input. Someone asked if there are any issues or concerns with their neighbors or experiences a noise disturbance. Which number should they call? 311 or 242 or who wants to respond to that question?
So the member of the public can do two things. They can call 311 and we will absolutely take the noise request. If it is something where they want a police response and it is not an emergency, they can call 242 cops. So there's a couple of options for the person, but we're here to assist them. So either 311 or 242.
And I would suggest the non-emergency 242 if there is disputes between neighbors, not just the noise complaints, then I would definitely go with 242 as long as there's no weapons involved.
Thank you so much for answering that question. And if it's, for example, a case, this is a question that people have asked us before, there is an ICE raid, what each one of your offices will be able to answer, or whether you will refer the person, because they want, for example, one of the agencies to come and respond. What of your agencies will be the protocol?
So as far as I'm understanding, we won't respond when there's any type of immigration enforcement, or if somebody's reporting that maybe their neighbor, they feel like their neighbor needs to be deported or they're an immigrant. So we don't respond at all for those type of calls. We would politely decline a police response. Now, if there's criminal activity like the mayor had addressed earlier, we absolutely would go regardless of the status. But an ICE raid, we wouldn't go because we wouldn't get involved in those things.
Thank you so much for answering that question.
You're welcome.
Let me see if I can see, I know that there is another. Oh, is 211 helpful for all income levels? People are asking.
And I did respond in the chat, but just to go over in the video. So the question again was, is 211 helpful for all income levels? And the answer is yes. So that's part of some of the questioning that the navigators will do, and asking like whether they're employed at the time, if they are employed, what their general income level is, so that way we're not sending them to an agency that they may not qualify to get help from. So yes, like we don't have any restrictions. We don't only help specific demographics. We try and help everyone. So that would be one of the questions that a navigator would potentially ask, is like what their general income level would be, so that way they are getting them connected to the appropriate agency for assistance.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kelly. We don't have more questions at this moment, but we're gonna be sharing some resources. And later on, this presentation as well, is because it's recorded, it's gonna be sharing the website. So everyone who will be able to read, understand, and comprehend the information that you just shared. So it's very well appreciated. There is something called the red cards that is about knowing your rights. In their website, that the link in the web page, we have it in 14 languages. Albuquerque Police Department also helped us to translate these red cards in Swahili and Kinyarwanda and in Navajo, which were not in the past in the website, and now is basically 17 languages that we have it available. It will be some community centers that these red cards, you will be able to find it. I know also that other nonprofits agencies have it available for you to have it at hand. This is important regardless if you are an immigrant or not. Knowing your rights, it's just something that everyone can, is important to have. Next slide, please. Okay, the resources and next steps of what is available. Like you see, the City of Albuquerque partnered with different agencies, organizations, nonprofits that could have many information or resources for the immigrant and refugee community, and also for the allies or the people who are interested in learning more and being able to be supportive. This is also our national resources. We know that there is also important for the part of labor and the workforce and businesses to know information about how to navigate situations right now with the community, immigrant community at this moment in time. So there are some resources available. And you go next, please, next on. There is always a call to action. There is no moment that we have in this life where we just talk about something without asking people to do something that could be part of what is good. That is a phrase that is something that is part of the city. Be part of what is good. So you can volunteer. There are plenty of opportunities in One Albuquerque Volunteers website. One of those is specifically for the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, but there are many other departments, many agencies who will benefit from you to volunteer. You can partner. Many times we organize events, activities, and by organizing and partnering with the Office of Equity and Inclusion or the Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, or even with the whole city, it will be beneficial for many causes that will be close to your heart, or what it will make something that you would like to do. You can donate. We have something called One Albuquerque Fund with the City of Albuquerque that allows you to participate if that's the way how you want to engage with the City of Albuquerque. In this case specific, there is a migrant relief fund that you can be part of. And lastly, but not less important, you can advocate. There are many bills in the legislature right now that will benefit the community in general. For example, there are some connected with housing, some bills that are connected with immigration, like safeguarding information and many others. There is enough topics to be able to advocate that could benefit the general population and this population as well. And if we go to the following slide, if you don't mind. We have here the information and the names of the guest speakers that we have the fortune to have today. It's the first time that we have a little bit of time, like usually we go our board an hour, but it has been very productive and nice that the information has been shared. So we can give you some minutes back to your time, or if you have more questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A, and we will be happy here with our guest speakers to answer. So please feel free to put some of the Q&A. In the chat, you're also gonna see the links how volunteer, partner, donate, or advocate are available. Thank you so much for your time today.